All right, hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. So before I get into what we're going to be working on today, I want to remind everyone that Gunforged is available for sale. So if you want to support my work, you could check that out. And let's see, did YouTube? No, never mind. Okay. So yeah, check it out. It's a 2D fantasy roguelite shooter, twin stick shooter. It's $8.99 USD or your regional equivalent, but I'm sure it will be going on sale soon, so you can also wish list it if you'd rather wait. I also have my Udemy courses available for sale. Those will teach you how to build a complete game in the Godot engine. That's the main way that I'm making all my money right now. I'm trying to be a full-time game dev / Udemy course instructor. So yeah, if you want to support my work, if you want to, yeah, just support me while I keep trying to do this, those are great ways to do it. All right, so let's get right into it. So hello Yao, welcome. Hello Aniki, welcome back. Always good to see you. You live in this chair, don't you? Yes. I spent a ridiculous amount of time in this chair. So yeah, some people might say it's unhealthy, but not me. Not I. Hello Craig, welcome back. Good morning to you as well, or good afternoon, I guess. Yeah, it's nice here. It's 10 a.m. here, and we've got nice weather. It is 63 degrees Fahrenheit, which is amazing. Amazing. Perfect temperature. 60 degrees is the perfect temperature, and you can't convince me otherwise. All right, so I'm just going to be in this stream just throwing a bunch of stuff together. I have made some changes. I was doodling with some art last night. I drew a little mouse cursor. I don't know if you can see it. It's like a little skeletal hand, which I think turned out pretty good. And of course, I'm going to have different states where, like, if you grab something, it'll have like a little grabbed version of the hand. I always liked, you know, there's a meme that's called like, it's like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and like the top of the hierarchy is cursors that are shaped like gauntlets, right? So I mean, it's kind of like that, but it's just a little hand, and I think it turned out really well. Actually, it took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to make, but I think the final version is actually really good, so I'm super happy. Yeah, that's cold and probably chaps your lips. 60 degrees? No, 60 is too hot here in Finland. 60 Celsius for sure. All right, let's see. So yeah, I also put in a new font here. I just purchased this font this morning. I think it looks a little bit better for headers and whatnot. So we got the lamb bone ring. I also added, I don't know if you can see it that well on the stream, but there's a little shadow, purple shadow underneath it, gives a little bit of depth. And then I'm using the font I was previously using for just the sort of paragraph elements, I guess you could say. And then also yesterday, if you recall, we got I got the board configurations in place. And so what I want to do now is I just want to work on some more of the progression. I don't really know how all the progression is going to work, but I'm just going to start adding stuff to the game and, you know, just use the framework that I build for the progression of the game to just build on top of that, I guess. Let the framework drive it. So yeah. So let's go ahead and do that stuff. So the main things that I want to do, so events, so we got combined two like cards to upgrade tier, upgrade health. I might as well just add shop. I'm just going to write down all the events that I have ideas for currently. Upgrade health. Okay. But the first thing that I want to do is I actually want to make the enemy health grow. And I don't know how I want to do that. Let's see. Let's figure out how we're going to implement that. So I want the enemy health to increase over time. Run manager. So we got create enemy board. I'm just going to get rid of this stuff. Create enemy board. So I think, I don't know. This run manager is kind of getting a little bit cluttered. It's managing quite a bit. What I want the run manager to do is basically just be the orchestrator between the different states. So, you know, you go into combat, then you leave combat, then you go into the booster state, then you go into the event state. But ideally, I wouldn't be storing a bunch of state in this run manager either. But I also don't want to overcomplicate things at the moment. So, let me think. Like, it doesn't seem right to me to be doing enemy health determinations in this script. I think it would be better to have that be the responsibility of something else. What do I got here? Run manager. Run manager. Enemy board configuration manager. It also seems kind of silly to spin out a separate script for something that's so simple. Maybe I'll just do it here. So I'll just do it here. So I want to define a curve. Do I want to use a curve resource for this? I want it to be like an exponential growth, but a low exponential growth. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe we'll ask the AI. Well, let's see. We got combat difficulty score. This is going to be a little bit tricky as well. Combat difficulty score. I still don't know if I want to use that or not. You know what I might do instead? Ah, shoot. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing with this game. Combat encounter. I think I do need to do a private int combat encounters completed. And I'll just create a note of that, or I'll track that here. Who is texting me? Oh. Combat encounters completed increment. Okay, so now we'll set the enemy health based on that. So I'll just put it all in here. Var base enemy board health is equal to 10. Var enemy board health is equal to base enemy board health. Combat encounters completed. So I want to do... I'll just ask the AI. I want enemy board health to grow exponentially, but a slow exponential growth. I think that makes sense because you can have lower exponential growths than higher ones based on the number of combat encounters completed. By the time combat encounter is at combat encounters completed is at 10, the enemy health should be roughly, I don't know, we'll call it 200. Let's see what it does. Hello, Bomb Dom. I just wanted to ask you a question. How would you be implementing an armor system in pixel art game in Godot in a way to avoid drawing a lot of sprites? Would you use an animation player or something else? Yeah, so armor system. So I'm assuming you mean like a system where you can equip different armor and have that visually update on your player. So what I would do is, I mean, it depends on what kind of animations you're doing for your player. If you're doing a frame-by-frame animation for your player, like with all the attack animations and stuff, then the way you do it is you would have to match those animations with the armor that you're using, and then you can just layer the armor sprite on top of your player in the right position, and then make the armor frames match. What is this AI doing? Make the armor frames match whatever animation is currently playing. The multiplayer prototype that I was doing a few weeks ago, the approach that I was doing is I was just using a static armor sprite and layering it because my players didn't have like body animations. The hands were like disconnected from the body, and so that had the benefit of being able to animate the hands without having to change how the body looks. And in that case, it was just a static sprite that could just be layered on top of the art. So I think that's the way that you would do it regardless of what approach you take, is you just layer the armor sprite on top. It just depends on how you're doing your animations, because you might need to do animations for the armor sprite specifically that match the positions of the player, if that makes sense. No, don't worry about it, Craig. I'll just visit chat whenever there's a good stopping point for me. But what software do you use for notes? Was that Obsidian? Yes, it is Obsidian. And I'm using the Obsidian Kanban community plugin for the Kanban boards here. Hello, Brekek. Welcome. Great to see you again. Alrighty. So growth rate, mathf.pow1 plus growth rate. Perfect. And this is being cast to an int. I don't know what this is doing, so we'll accept this. Okay. Base enemy board health. So we're going to do mathf.seal to int. So we're just going to round it up every time. Cool. So there is an exponential growth, but it's relatively slow. Okay. Alrighty. So enemy board health. So now we need to be able to set this. So enemy board. We've got heal to full. Let's do public void. I don't know why I'm doing this here, but I think I should just probably expose the health component here, but I don't know about that. Health component dot set max health. I don't have a max health on the health component, so public void set max health. So the problem here, actually this might be fine. If I set this max health as long as I set that before it gets added to the tree, then there should be nothing connected to those health signals. So it should be fine. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and gd.print enemy board. Yeah, let's just print enemy board health. All right, so let's do a couple rounds of combat here and we'll see what happens. You're welcome, Craig. There's a bunch of really cool plugins. I get a similar kid in a candy store effect. I get browsing extensions for VS Code. Yeah, there are a bunch of really good ones, that's for sure. Okay, so enemy board health, 10. So I'll let this combat go. So I have to do a bunch of work on the animations and stuff, but... So it should be, I think, roughly 13, or it should be 13 the next time. Let's take a relics. Bam. Grow board, choose that one, put this one on here. What is this now? 14. Okay, so this is a little bit tougher. So again, I need to show the absolute health numbers too in here somewhere. But I think this appears to be working. Should definitely get a lot trickier. Okay. More relic, more minion cards. Let's do it. Boom, boom. Ooh. Corvid though. Take the Corvid, grow the board. Put the Corvid here. Reorganize this so that that makes use of that. All right, begin. So this is definitely taking longer. I think it's working. That's 19 health now. So that's just a rough, like, enemy difficulty progression that I can use now. Ooh. Let's see if we can make the alembic work. Might be a little bit tricky, but we'll see. Oh, shoot. Let's grow the board. Yeah, there we go. Put this here, put that there. Begin. So yeah, now I just need to implement some ways of the player having their power increase. Obviously the growing board works, so that's good. Alchemical minion ritual. Let's do alchemical. Oh, 3 freaking alembics. Okay. Nice. All right. Let's alchemize. Oh, I can't fit. Wait, can I? Yes, I can. Boom. So this is going to do double the effect now. Ooh, we got 2 Corvids. Ooh, this might be tricky. The Corvids are each going to attack twice. Oh. Oh, big damage. It's okay. I'll be able to heal, I think. It's got a much larger health bar, though. Oh, I'm not going to survive. I am not going to survive this. That's it. I lost. Okay. And that had 34 health. So, yeah. So now let's figure out... Let's do some things to help the player increase in power here. So let's see. How do I want to do this? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of balancing to go on. Like I said, what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to lay out a framework wherein all of this progression can happen, and then hopefully it just becomes a matter of like tweaking the numbers and the frequencies of the things. But I'm just trying to get stuff into the game where I can get a better sense of like what the actual gameplay is going to feel like. So far, it's feeling pretty good. So, yeah. So add enemy health increases. Okay. So let's see. Combine 2 like... We want to do an upgrade tier for sure. Upgrade health, yes. So let's add a health event. Event type. No. Event type. I'll just call it max health, I guess. Okay, so now when we're picking the event types, we actually need to... I'm going to create a new scene in here. Event type loot table manager. The reason I'm splitting this out into a separate script right now is because eventually there's going to be all kinds of modifications to the loot table. So I might make a certain event type more common if it hasn't appeared recently. That's going to require manipulating the loot table and all that. So private dynamic loot table event type. Okay. Event type, shop, alchemy, enchant, grow board. So I'm just going to do this manually, I think. public void add, no. Public override void ready. Just make these all 10 for now. Grow board, enchant. Might as well add enchant as well. So I can tweak all of those rarities as I want later on, but what I'll do is I'll just say event type array pick events. This is always going to return 3, so I'm just not going to worry about that. For var I equals 0, I is less than 3, I plus plus. Oh, I need to make sure that this is pick item conditional. Item not events dot contains item dot object. So it's not going to pick duplicate events, and we can return events. Okay. I don't know what happened in there, but that's all right. So we go to the run manager here. We get a reference to that event type loot table manager. Down here, var events equals event loot, whatever it's called. Does it not like that? Set event types. Oh, it wants a list. Ah, it wants a list. Not anymore. Okay. Event selection. Event type dot max health. Increase max health. We'll just call it increase health. Cool. All right, so now when I actually handle this, let's see, down in here, case event type dot max health, player board at set max health, player board dot current health, or player board dot health. See, I don't have, okay. We're gonna do some refactoring here. We are gonna do some refactoring. I'm gonna take this heal to full. Heal to full. Oh, I know why, yeah, okay. This damage is important in here as well. So maybe it does make sense that I kind of have like a pass through, so like I have a damage ability on, or a damage method on my health component, but I'm calling damage on the board instead, which then calls damage on the health component. And the reason is because I may have things like this shield status, which is supposed to intercept the damage. So I need like that layer. And same with heal, right? I may need to intercept the heal amount before it actually gets to the health component. And so like, I guess that makes sense. So what I need to do here actually is player board dot, I still probably do, I understand why I don't want the health component to be exposed now, because I want all of the health operations to flow through the board so that I can intercept anything, like I said. But the problem now is that I need to expose a bunch of things like public bool max health. Gee dang it. Is this not exposed? Oh, that's not exposed either, is it? Public float max health. This should be a float. Okay, anyway. These floats, yeah. Okay. All right, let me just do this really quick. Max health, and we're gonna do plus. We wanted to, be like 5 times combat encounters or health. This is so messy. Private int, health events completed. Five times health events completed plus 1. Cannot convert from float to int. Now you can. Okay. And then I'll just do a health events completed plus plus. A little bit messy, but there you go. There's an Excel extension I use to enter game data and stats, so I can do it all in one place and balance there. I can then use a little importer script to update all my Godot resources. Oh, I see on Obsidian. Interesting. Love seeing the progress on this game. Yeah, I'm very encouraged by, like, everyone that has seen this game has been much more excited about it than the multiplayer game that I was making. I think that, yeah, I really do see a lot of potential with this game. I'm glad that I think I've officially decided to just stick with this game because it has a bunch of things going for it. So, firstly, the art is turning out really well. I think it has a very distinct art style that's like immediately eye-catching, and I'm having fun doing the art as well. So that's a big plus. On the related to that, the art is actually easy to do because I'm not doing a lot of any animations that I'm doing are basically just UI tween animations. So I basically just have to draw the card art and then it's done, right? So there's not a whole lot of artwork that I need to do. I mean, it's still going to be a lot of effort, but compared to something like Gunforged, it's like it's very straightforward. I think that there can be a lot of mechanical depth to the game, the way that it's playing out. Which is mostly just up to how well I execute it, but I definitely see the potential there for a lot of depth. And yeah, everyone seems to be enjoying it and liking the direction that it's going, and I'm having a lot of fun, and I have a ton of inspiration for the game too. Like, I've got all this stuff written down, and I just keep seeing things in like everyday life where I'm like, ooh, that would make a cool item for the game, you know? So I'm very much excited about this idea. Now it's just a matter of executing it properly, and that's going to be the big question. Can I realize this game's potential effectively or not? We'll see. Always pretty cool to see the game being played out. Yes. My Kundev, hello. Good morning to you as well. Art is getting better and better. I love the aesthetic you're going with. Thank you, Breckhack. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so we got so this is the amount of max health you get is going to increase. Maybe I should make it based on combat encounters. Do I want to make it? No, the problem is that I don't want to make it based on... So here's a couple of questions. So the health event shows up. If you're unlucky enough to not get a health event for a while, which I'm going to try to avoid by having some biasing in the loot table, but let's just say that you go several combat rounds without a health upgrade, and then the health upgrade shows up, and it's only 5, like an increase of 5. It's like, that's going to feel really bad. On the flip side, if I make it based on combat encounters completed, you may get 3 health upgrades in a row, and they keep increasing in strength. So the first health upgrade will be 5. Let's say that you complete 2 more combat encounters, then that's going to be 15. And so, like, the health increase that you get is going to be sort of linear with how many combat encounters you've completed. The other thing I could do, I'm kind of liking the idea of having a combat difficulty score more and more. It's like this combat difficulty score is mostly, it's actually kind of like a progression metric. And I could make a lot of the upgrades and stuff based on this number. I need to figure out what the loop looks like. Like, do you go through 10 combat encounters and the 10th one is a final boss? Do you go through 5 combat encounters and the 5th one is a boss? I mean, I kind of think 10 is like a nice round number. I also want to do something like that game, The Bazaar, is weird because like combat encounters are actually relatively infrequent in The Bazaar. I mean, they're infrequent is probably the wrong word, but you could go through like 3 or 4 events of just gathering stuff and like upgrading your player before you ever get to a combat encounter. So I could do something like that as well. The way I have it set up now is you do combat encounter, you get your booster pack, then you get an event choice that you can do, and then you get back into an event, into a combat encounter. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It could be event, and then another event, and then another booster pack, and then combat. I think I'll just stick with the very simple thing first and then do it later, but the other way I can make the health growth is just based on how, like, you're relatively, like, if your health is relatively low. Okay, let's just start with making it based on combat encounters. I've already lost where I was here. So we're gonna get rid of this health events completed. We're not gonna make it based on that because that's gonna feel really bad if you're not getting health events. So we'll make it based on the combat encounters completed. And I also probably want to make it random. So that's the thing that I want to do next is like put how much health you're actually going to be. Yeah, I'm gonna need to rethink this. Hello, Mike, or I already said hello to you. Thank you, Mycoon Dev, for the €1 super chat. Very much appreciate that. Thank you. It's very generous. Thank you, thank you. Always good to have you here in the stream as well. So what am I doing? I want to do this health event. So there's a little bit of a problem here, which is that I'm setting the event types here. Event selection. So I have like a generalized event selection node, but I actually need to be able to say what the health is. The other thing that I want to do is I want to make the health increase somewhat random. Because I want to make it more appealing to, like, I have a chance for it to be really powerful and make it really appealing to a player. So I'm going to do this. Var health increase is equal to mathutil.rng.rand_i_range. 5 times combat counters completed, 5 times combat encounters completed times 2. gd.print let's just see how that goes before I do anything. And also, it's probably going to be a good idea now to, in the board UI, show the actual health number here somewhere. I'm not in love with these health bars either. I'm gonna have to rethink these, I think, but got the center container. What does it actually look like in game again? Let's see. I'm kind of tempted to change the layout of this game. Kind of tempted to change it to a vertical layout. Put the enemy up here, put the player down here, because that matches more with the kind of card games like the Bazaar and Hearthstone and things like that. Although like games like Backpack Heroes do the left and right, but I just think that the things that I want to do with the health bar would look better if the health bar was horizontal. The reason I originally laid it out left to right is because I was actually working with a smaller resolution than this, and so obviously this screen is wider than it is tall, so that had more space. But now that I've stepped up the resolution a little bit, I actually have plenty of space here. So I wonder, I may play around with changing the layout of this. I think it would feel cozier if it was up and down. And then I could have the health bars actually stretch across the screens. Be a little bit more visually impactful. And then the other thing is that I can then show the status effects like horizontally, which I think would be better. It'd be easier to show the health bar number as well, but maybe I'll play with that a little bit later in the stream. Right now, I should be mostly concerned with, let's add another center container. Right now, I should be mostly concerned with adding a label here. Let's do a VBox container. Current health label. Max health label. These are going to use the favorite properties doesn't show up when you have multiple selected. Mono label. Mono label. All right, let's just choose some random numbers that have no significance whatsoever. So let's see. Center. Okay, visibility, modulate, change that. I'm just going to do something very quick and dirty here as like a delineation. I'm not going to keep that. I'll probably want to do something a little bit nicer than that, but for now it's fine. And we're actually going to set this to like -2, so it's a little bit closer together. And then we can center this. There we go. This is going to look terrible. It's fine. I just want to get the numbers in place so I can actually see what's going on. Probably will rework this UI a little bit though. Maybe I'll do that next. I know I want to figure out like the game progression stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of jumping around. I don't know. I'm a little bit unorganized, I suppose. I haven't yet got to the point where I'm starting to like write out like actual task cards, but I'm probably getting there soon. As the game takes shape and I have a more clear idea where it's going, I think I'm going to need to... Event type loot... Oh! I forgot to add the event type loot table manager here. That would be bad. Okay, anyway. Board UI. Update health bar. Health component health changed. Yeah, so update health bar. So I'm going to need these two labels. Node, private label... I think that's what I called them, right? Current health label, max health label, yes. Okay. Current health label dot text is equal to mathf dot sealed to int to string Okay, that should be enough. Let's see what happens. Hello, Mallard Bro. Been seeing you play through the game loop a few times and have 2 thoughts. Have you thought about adding a debug dev item that has large damage so you can effectively skip encounters? That's a good idea. And 2, you could add a global that simply reloads the current scene when pressing R, for example, to help speed up checking the randomization. Yes, I could do something like that. But usually what I do if I just want to test the loop, well, maybe a high damage item is a good idea. Maybe that is a good idea. Let's see. Let's card definition resource. Let's call it God mode. I don't want to inadvertently add this to the loot table. But let's do it. Oops. Okay, God mode, and then I need to create a script. Data card. New file, God mode. Okay, let's see if it works. Well, now you're obligated to insert the Konami code or Doom console command, yeah. Oh, look at that. That's not right. So, yeah, okay, well. That's a little bit excessive. It just put 2,000 dots here. So, let me fix that real quick. Card UI. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about that too. That's the other challenge, is trying to show what the cards do in a succinct way. mathf.max to do need to handle large numbers. Anyway, I think that's fine. So yeah. Oh, it still did it. What in the heck? What in the heck? Oh, mathf.min. Okay, so it's still a little bit bugged, but I can put this in God mode, deal 2,000 damage. Here we go. Boom. Okay. Take this. Of course, I didn't get the health. This is where the reset would come in handy, I suppose, but we'll just keep going. Why did that reset? That was interesting. Here we go, increase health. Ooh. 30 out of 30. So it gave me 30 health. Why did it give me 30 health? Oh, I guess it's because it's random. Why is that resetting? I don't understand. We're gonna fix that, I guess. Does my turn logic not work for things that have one turn? It's kind of interesting. Increase health, boom. Plus 37, okay, this is growing very fast. Which means that the enemy damage also needs to increase a lot faster. Or of course I can turn down the health growth. But the idea too is that you may not choose health every time. I mean, I'm gonna have to figure out when to actually show the player health. maybe I could cap it and say like, well, if you just chose health, it's very unlikely to show up again. I can play around with the biasing a little bit and what options are presented to the player, but I think what I'll do for now though is let's do 2 times combat encounters completed and then 2, yeah, let's just try that. Saturday and bro still grinding, yes indeed. Hello, Boogie W. Also welcome back, Mike, it's good to see you. Coding brings joy, yeah. I love my little God mode mutton item here. It's funny. God mode mutton. Grow board. Obviously, got to put a bunch of nice little animations and stuff. Obviously, got to do animations and whatnot. Okay, take the Viper. I'm really enjoying this loop though. Like, even though the game is like super janky, just the loop of like, ooh, I've got this odd shaped thing now, so I gotta move my cards around and put a new like orientation, you know? Like with a bunch of polish. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun. Okay, and then I can put, see like here, now I can move this guy down, put that guy there, just stuff my board. Ooh. I gotta get some like swapping in place though. There we go. Obviously none of this matters because the mutton's just gonna kill it immediately, but give me a health, you... Okay, just for that, we're gonna alchemize everything into 1 mega card. Deal 2,000 damage. Oh, but it's 8 turns now. So now I have to wait 8 turns before the card... Okay. I might actually die right here. Hold on a second. Am I gonna die? No. Okay. Phew. Increase health. Here we go. Boom. Okay, that seems more reasonable now. So it took me a couple of combat encounters to get health, but now I got health. And I'm actually pretty good. Now, I might actually lose this one. No, maybe I won't. We'll see. Those little Corvid animations are completely unnecessary, but... Ooh. 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 Nope, too late. Here comes the God mode. Okay. Increase health, boom, 14. Yeah, that's feeling much better. And again, I'll play with the probabilities of getting health depending on like how long you've gone without getting health and stuff. But the way I want to design the game too is that you could make a successful build that's very low health. I want that to be an option for players. So you could like do shields and whatnot. But it's going to be hard to like figure out all that balance until I get a lot more cards into the game and like do a bunch of playtesting, but might be too much of a deviation from your current ideas, but you could spend your wins as currency to access some events that get more expensive each time you use them. Just a quick thought right now. Well, I want to do, I mean, something like that I think would be good. I think what I'm going to do is have, actually have a currency. And I'm thinking about having like humors as the currency. So the humors are, I believe, blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. And I thought it would be really cool if those 4 humors were like currency items in the game, where something like a blood humor would be like the in-game currency that you can use at the shop and whatnot. But like the other 3 humors could be like meta progression items. You know what I mean? So like, you know, you could spend the phlegm humor to unlock new card types, like at sort of like the main menu or whatever, or you could use the yellow bile to unlock more difficulty tiers or something like that, you know. I think that would be really thematically. I could also merge those into like a single one. I really like actually in Gunforged how the currency, the gold that you earn in game is the same gold that you spend on the meta progression. So there's like this tension between, do I want to spend my gold during the run, or do I want to save it so I can do meta upgrades, right? And I think that's an interesting system, but I can also see the strength of like having like in-run currencies that only are useful for that run, and then having the meta upgrade currencies that you gain by doing runs. So Melancholia, yeah. You could do econ items like leech that makes currency on damage. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, stuff like that would be great. So like a leech that has a really high turn count, but like when it hits, it does like, you get a certain amount of currency or something. Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's see. I don't think I need these logs anymore. 11, 14. I'm gonna get rid of these logs here. Where? Trying. Oh, it's here. Get rid of all these logs. Okay. Okay, so added health event. That's the little message that we're gonna go with here. The God mode card was a good idea. Okay, so this UI is looking really bad now, but I can see the numbers at least. I am very tempted to change the layout here to a vertical layout. The question is, do I want to do that right now? Let's take a look. I want to do card upgrading, but I don't think I should handle that just yet. Alchemy is kind of like in place, but there's a lot of work to do there still. Grow board, shop. Shop is a good one. That's definitely something that I need to be able to do, is offload cards. So I'm probably just going to copy what the bazaar does, which is that you can sell cards at any point. Because the thing in the bazaar is that you have a limited number of inventory spaces. It's not like your inventory is infinite. And so if you gain cards after combat but your inventory is full, you can either sell the card that you just got by just dragging it to the top of the screen, or you can sell your inventory items and then make room for that card. I think that's going to be really important. I think the player needs to be able to sell cards at any point to make room in the inventory. And then the shop is mostly just going to be, I think the shop could be interesting in that it could be like a catch-all for everything. So you could spend money to do an alchemize, right? So alchemy can either appear as a free event that you can choose, or when you go to the shopkeep might have an alchemy station that you can use, right? And you say, oh, I want to alchemize a card, and you pay your humors or whatever, and then you can do alchemy there. Shop could also offer an increased health for a certain cost, and of course offering cards available for purchase, maybe even upgrade services. So it could be like a catch-all where you can like do everything by spending currency. I think that's the way that I want to do it. But I don't know. This is the thing. There's so many different directions to go. I don't know what the next best thing to do is. I do know that I want card tiers, and I do know that I want, I need to work on ability combination, like combining like abilities just adds them together in a sensible way. Okay. Hello, Damien. Welcome back. We'll catch up on the rest of the VOD. See ya. Thank you, Mallard Bro, for joining. Great to see you. 3 streams today to beat yesterday. I don't know about that. But yeah, great to see you, and thanks again for watching. What is the setting going to be, as in what's going to be in the background behind the boards? I don't know yet. I don't know. That's a good question. I actually played around with that a little bit last night. I gotta get better at drawing environment art. That's one thing that I'm still not that great at. But it's gonna be, you know, like something medieval alchemy necromancy kind of themed. Need to go? All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, Turbo Justo. And hope to see you in a future stream. Will you do the classic merge to upgrade? I think so, yeah. I think there could be two ways of doing it. You could either upgrade a card standalone. I think I would do both. So have a way of upgrading a card just in a standalone way by spending currency, or if you have a card of an equal tier of the same. So like if you have a tier 1 skeleton and another tier 1 skeleton, you can combine them to make a tier 2 skeleton, right? So that's like a typical auto battler thing, I think, to do, which I definitely want to do. So, but I would need to implement a tier system, and then I got to make all the abilities scale with the tiers, because the cards themselves, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out a tier system, how I want that to work, because there are some abilities that don't necessarily work with tiers, I don't think. What I'd probably do is not make the individual abilities here scale with tiers, but make the, well, speed. Yeah, because there could be, oh man, this is going to be tough actually. I gotta be able to define how the card upgrades when because some abilities might be too powerful if I just increase the number, but I could do other things to increase the card power, like reducing the turn cooldown so that it executes more frequently. But that's gonna be, yeah. You know what I probably would do is just implement the turn cooldown reduction as a separate ability, maybe. I have to think about this, yeah. Like the reset cooldown, this can't be a tier. So this ability, it just resets the cooldown of an enemy card. What would an increase in the tier look like? It's not just a straight damage increase, right? It might be that it targets an additional enemy, right? Or it might be that it, you know, the card's turn cooldown gets reduced. So it's not, a tier upgrade is not necessarily just going to be a straight up damage boost or number increment. And I have to think of a system for how to handle that. I don't think it makes sense to handle it at the ability level. That's the thing. Because yeah, I don't know. I think it would make most sense to handle it at the card level. So like the bell does the tag reset cooldown. So what I could do at the bell is I could say, well, public override, or no, just like, let's just say public void upgrade, right? What I could do is I could say, okay, I could either take any existing ability it has and bump the number up, but in the case of this, I could just say it gains a new ability, composed ability.add, you know, new simple heal, whatever, 1, and then that simple heal can be scaled based on the tier as well. I think that's the way to do it. So I would probably handle the card upgrading at the card script level, and then have the card script manage how it's affecting every ability. Now the problem is that that's not going to work with the alchemy system, because with the alchemy system, you can get abilities added to the card that are not native to the card. And so the question then becomes, how do I manage upgrading those ability tiers? And that's the situation where I'd want individual ability upgrading. I could just mix and match both too. Yeah, it's a really tough problem actually. I'll figure it out, I'm sure. I mean, the other option is just to say any ability that's been alchemized doesn't change. So the only way to improve an ability that's been alchemized is to do another alchemy with the same set of abilities to upgrade it. But that wouldn't be so fun, right? I mean, you want your things to be upgraded. Or, you know, it could just be that's the thing, you know, alchemizing a card just basically locks those things in place. And so you probably want to perform alchemy on really high level cards that have good tiers and deal good damage and all that stuff. And then when you alchemize it, you get that like set in stone, so to speak, in the card. It's a tough problem. It's a tricky problem. That's another thing I'm going to have to experiment with. I think what I'll do first is I'll do the upgrade system like I explained here with the card. So the tier system, the card tier system, I'll do it here. And then I can handle how the alchemized abilities are going to scale based on the tier later. I don't really want to have a concept of like an ability tier and a... Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should have an ability tier and a card tier. And when the card tier changes, it will update all of the ability tiers. But then when the card tier changes, it can also add new abilities to the card if it needs to. So in the case of like where tag reset cooldown doesn't really have, like it doesn't change when the tier changes, then I could handle that at the card level and say, okay, well, if the card tier changes, then it will add a new ability, right? I could do that. Oh, man. Tricky. Anyway, that's just some brainstorming. I'm not going to work on that tier just yet, but it's a good brainstorming, I guess. With a lot of, it's what a lot of auto battlers do. Yeah, combining cards of the same tier. What are your future plans for the alchemy? At the end, it seems super busted. Yeah. Alchemizing 2 identical cards is kind of like upgrading already. Yeah, so I have to figure out exactly what I want to do with alchemy. I think I kind of wanted to make it like risk reward where it would just choose random elements of both cards to put together instead of combining every single element. I think that would be kind of fun, but the other thing is I don't want to discourage players from using it. Like I don't want players to say, well, I really like this card and I want to alchemize it, but I don't want to lose this ability, so I'm not going to do alchemy. Like I don't want to make it such a punishing kind of thing that players don't want to use it. So, but maybe I'll start with that. I think it would be a good balance to have an element of randomness. Like it's not guaranteed to give you everything that you want, but maybe with some careful planning and you alchemizing the right cards together, maybe you will just have like a guaranteed good outcome no matter which ones it chooses. So it could be up to like player strategy in terms of like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this card and hold on to this card, then I'll alchemize them later and then I get like that upgrade, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was thinking like it would just say, okay, there's 2 abilities on this one, 2 abilities on that one. I'm going to combine in the new card. The new card's also going to have 2 abilities, but I'm going to choose random abilities from each one and combine them together. That's the way I was originally thinking about doing it. And right now the alchemy system works with any number of cards. I think what I'm going to do is, I mean, I kind of like the fact that it can work with any number of cards. And I think what I could do is change the size of the alchemy grid, and that can kind of control how powerful the alchemy system is. I don't know. I have to think about it. Have you thought about how allowing combining all items might reduce interesting player choices? There's no real decision making about what to keep on your board since you can merge it all. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was just talking about. Yeah, I definitely don't want it to just like combine everything together because that's too strong, right? It's got to be interesting. The alchemy system is supposed to just be like an interesting way of like transforming cards and not just like a straight up power increase. It can be a power increase, I mean, yes, but as it is implemented in its bare bones fashion right now, it's just a straight power increase. Alchemize is a great word. My vocab is increasing in useful ways here. Yeah, I'm not even actually sure if that's a real word, but it sounds like it should be, so that's why I'm using it. I wonder if it is a word. Let's see. Alchemized. Oh, it is a word. Alchemize. Nice. I didn't make it up. Okay, I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break. I really want to experiment with changing the layout of the game here. I know it's not really related to the game loop, but I'm not really liking the vertical health bar and the horizontal layout here. So I'm going to try doing a more traditional card battler layout with the player at the bottom and the enemy at the top. And I'm just going to see how that looks. It shouldn't be too difficult, but that's the thing that I'm going to work on next. But before I do that, like I said, I'm going to go on my 2-minute break here. And in the meantime, please check out the links in the description below. Those are all the ways that you can support my work. I've got my Udemy courses available for sale, as well as Gunforged, my first serious commercial release. So if you want to support my work, definitely check those out. I'll be right back, and we'll get to work on that UI overhaul. Alrighty. I'm back. Let's see what we got going on here. Game UI. Oh boy. Okay. This is actually not the right spot. Run manager. Right. Okay. Event horizontal position. Event. Oh, I'm gonna have to refactor a lot of this stuff. Hold on. Okay. So, player inventory. This is a mess. Effects. Player board. So the player board. Let's put that down there for now. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. How is the enemy board being placed here? Create enemy board. Event horizontal position and global position X, global position Y. Enemy board dot center horizontally. Okay. All right, have I done a good job so far? Let's see. Okay, almost. Why does that look so weird? I guess that's fine. What I don't understand is, hold on. Why is the enemy board going all the way up there? I don't understand. I don't understand. I'm going to need a better way of centering these things, I think. Global position X. Oh, wait. Oh. Yeah, let's do event horizontal position at global position at Y. That's fine. Is there any reason why you can't manipulate the position in Godot rather than via code? Is it because you're not using GD script? The reason is that the boards have variable width and heights. And so basically I just needed to find a spot where and their origin is in the top left corner. So what needs to happen is I basically needed to find this is how far away from the edges of the screen that I want it to be, and then based on its width and height and top left position, put it in the right spot. I'm not doing that complicated of logic right now. I'm just using these placeholder positions, but eventually what I'm going to say is it needs to be, 32 pixels off the bottom of the screen or 32 pixels off the top of the screen, and then it has to have its position manipulated based on its dimensions. Have I considered a diagonal layout? I don't like diagonal layouts. But I also don't think that would work that well in this game. So this should all still work. Now the tricky thing is I need to rotate everything. This needs to be changed too. Oh man, this is going to be quite a bit of work actually. But let's go to the board UI now. So this needs to change. Luckily, I think this becomes much easier now. Let me fix. Let me fix the UI first here. Health bar, sprite. Rotate canvas counterclockwise. Can I do this? I think I need to crop this, unfortunately. Crop, file, export layers. We're not going to trim it. Fill delay, fill and background. This got really slow all of a sudden. Looking at it like this, I can see your game work well on mobile too. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Maybe a mobile port. Oh goodness. Maybe a mobile port is in the cards. What is going on? Did I do something wrong here? Oh, I still got this under. Oh, fill padding. Why is that? Is this being used anywhere? Oh. Background. Let's do another, let's just call this fill padding. File, scripts. Oh, you know what? Dang it. I did this wrong. Hold on a second. These texture bars are a little bit tricky. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is go back here. We're going to get rid of the fill. We're going to get rid of the fill delay, and we're just going to do the background and the padding. So scripts, export layers. Okay. This got really slow all of a sudden. I don't know why. It used to be super quick, and now it's like, Okay, anyway. Then we'll do these two. Export layers. We're going to keep trim on this time. Mobile port is in the cards. Yeah, very nice. Very nice, Adam. Nice work. Okay. So this is looking better. 7 and 9. Get the health bar over. Why is that not looking correct? Did something happen? Oh, yeah, it's oriented wrong. Hold on a second. This is the, I think left to right. Yes, there we go. Okay. All right, that was quite a lot of effort, but so we got the center container here. Probably don't need that anymore. Oh, maybe I do actually. VFlow container, we're going to change this to a VBox container. Get rid of the custom minimum size. Separation of 0. Why is this still super big here? Okay. I see. So I probably want this health bar to be even bigger than it is right now, but that's fine. Okay, now this, I kind of want this VBox container to be in here. That might be too much, but Just playing with this, you know, just seeing. Custom minimum size. What is, let's do 8. Oops, wrong one. I don't know, something like that. VBox container. Why is this so big? Oh, because there's this margin top. Okay. So this is going to be a mess. Current health label.text. All right, let's see what this does. You could always have the health text on top of the bar be an optional setting. Yeah, I think that's right. It looks kind of decent, actually. Doesn't look terrible. I think I'd probably make the health bar a little bit thicker, but now I need to position the health bar. Object reference not set to an instance of object. Where is 59? vFlow container reverse fill. We actually don't need that anymore. Oops. vFlow container. Yeah, where was that? Flip orientation. So I might actually want, now that I think about it, HFlow container. If I use an HFlow container here, because I do want to flip the orientation. Is there a separation value here? Oh, there is. Look at that. Very nice. Okay, so now I can do this. I can say reverse fill like so to flip it. So I'm actually going to go back in and put this back. HFlow container. So now what I should see is I should see that the, well, I guess it didn't really do much. Okay. All right, we're getting there. We are getting there. So now I actually need to go into the board UI here. Where's flip orientation called? I'll just have the AI do this. Change this update UI position so that it works. Currently, it positions the board UI horizontally, either left or right, based on whether flip orientation is true. However, now I want it to do so vertically, such that if flip orientation is true, it places the board UI above the board. And if it is false, it gets placed below. See what it does. Okay. I have no clue if this is going to work. Let's see. The AI is pretty good at this kind of stuff, though. Hey, look at that. So now the enemy board just needs to be... Actually, both of these things need to be placed lower. This is all kind of like... Just kind of like a shot in the dark here, but... I need to get the positionings worked out better, but in the meantime... There we go. So now we've got the enemy board up here. And let's see. So that begin button, obviously. I'll just put this in the center now. All right, so we've got this reoriented, and I can do this, and I can click begin. I don't know, what do we think? Do we like this layout a little bit better than the vertical one? I need to change how the numbers work, I think. And then these would need to come up from the top, and then the events would need to come up from the top as well. What do we think? What do we think? Move this down a little bit. I prefer it, although personally a little bit wider in scale. What do you mean by a little bit wider in scale? You just like how there's more horizontal space here? Or you think that everything should just take up more horizontal space? So these would have to come down from the bottom. But I'll just move this over, increase health, grow board, boom. It gets all messed up now when I grow the board. Let's see if I can fix that. Perhaps a little bit bigger, although it'd be interesting to see what other people say. Well, I think the other thing you have to keep in mind is that these boards are going to grow too. So it's possible that, the player board is going to reach out to like, this radius here. That's the other thing, is that there's less vertical space for the board to grow now. Oops. But I don't know if that's going to be a problem. Yeah, there's going to be more stuff. I mean, yeah, I do want to add like decorations and stuff, like environment art and whatnot, to hopefully fill this up a little bit, but let's put this here, increase, scroll board, boom. So realistically, I can only go like 1, 2, 3 rows high if I want to preserve like a middle section here. So that's one problem with this kind of approach. I could shrink some of the spacing here a little bit, but mostly the board would have to grow in the width instead. I did not factor in that, so you're right. It's probably okay. Overall, though, it's a great start. I like the change. Okay, people like the change. I think if I just tighten up this spacing a little bit and like make this a little bit less, I can reclaim some more room vertically. I think that'll be fine. You like this way a lot more, and the environment art will be easier, really. Yeah, because then I can do like environment art here and here on the sides. Previous layout has a benefit of dragging and dropping on the board is faster. That is true. That is true. I probably want to reposition this inventory. In the bazaar, I mean, we could try a diagonal layout. I mean, I know I said I didn't like that, but maybe having the player board here and the enemy board here would be a way of reclaiming some space. But let's see. Figure out where to put the inventory, because now the inventory is floating way out here. I could put it next to the player, or maybe have a button where you could bring it up or something. I don't know. These need to slide down from the top. Let's see. Put this there. Grow board. Boom. I gotta recenter this too. Oh, this is gonna be perfect. I want to see what the poison status looks like here. So I like this because it adds the status now underneath in a very nice way. I do like that better. Yeah, this feels more like a real, like, this feels more like how you'd expect a combat screen to go. Yeah, I don't want it to feel too claustrophobic on the edges of the screen here, and then also got to figure out where to put the inventory. This can be moved up a little bit. The enemy can be moved up, but yeah. Diagonal layout could work. I mean, it might with this layout, like put the player over here and put the enemy over here. I don't know. Like the button to have it pop up. Yeah, I mean, and I could make it so that it's just always aligned to the left side of the board, so it's really close. Problem is, what happens if it starts encroaching on this? You know, like it could maybe start obscuring the enemy board. It's a very clean design. Yeah, I think it looks nice. Previous layout had a benefit of clean good versus evil line in regard to the theme, if you care about that. Oh, what do you mean? So like, it just seemed more natural that the way it was laid out with the theme? Yeah. Yeah, I think that would work. Inventory button. I can move the inventory down to give the same effect. Yeah, let's try that. Let's see. Drawn manager. Oh, I need to rewrite how these things are aligned. Is there a reason why I'm not using UI nodes to center this stuff? Wonder if I should just make all this stuff UI nodes. Why did I not make it UI nodes? Let me think. This would be a lot easier if I could just wrap the board in a UI node and then I could just center it with anchors and whatnot. Why did I... There's a reason why I didn't do that, though. Why didn't I do that? Why didn't I do that? I don't remember. But if I just wrapped these in UI nodes, then I could easily center them, and then Godot would automatically center them. I wouldn't have to keep calling code to center them every time the board changes. I just don't remember why I didn't do that initially. I'm just going to move the player inventory down. How is this actually working? Is this just not... Okay, well, I'm just gonna take this and just move it down and see if that works. I don't know what's going on here. I need to rework how all this works, but let's see. Okay. Yeah, so like, I guess it would make sense to just put the inventory in the lower half of the screen here. I don't know. UI and like the layout is not my forte. I always struggle with like how to present UI elements and everything. I don't know what you had planned for that, but you could have a village castle art on one side and a dark necromancer art on the other side. Yeah, I still have to decide what the enemy faction is going to be. If I want the enemy faction to be other necromancers, or if I want it to be like the villagers that I was drawing a couple streams ago. I do like the idea of making them themed differently, but yeah, maybe I should do that. It was just easier to get started with like the combat by using the pre-configured boards with already existing items or cards, but the previous layout has both boards at equal height but opposing sides. With the new layout, the enemy board is visually above the player to show a more dominant advantage. Yeah. Is that good or bad? I'm trying to just, like, I understand that feedback, but do you think that's a good thing, or do you like how the previous layout was with respect to the visual hierarchy? Could you change the aspect ratio of the game itself? I can't. Because this is like another pixel perfect game. 640 by 360, and so I could either increase or decrease it by half or increase it by 2. I mean, I can technically change the aspect ratio so it's not a 16:9 ratio, but I'm still like, I have to do fixed power of 2 increments, you know? Maybe you are the evil alchemist and the enemy's like the good guys trying to stop you. Yeah, so that's the options. The options for the theme is either you're like this alchemist, medieval scientist, necromancer, and you're fighting other alchemist, medieval scientist, necromancers, or you're the alchemist, necromancer, that's like fighting the humans. And the humans are like, you start off by fighting the villagers, and then like you fight increasingly difficult like enemies that are like armored and they're professional soldiers and they're knights and stuff, and then you get to the highest level and it's like paladins and clergy and all this stuff. You know, like it just gradually increases the difficulty of the human. So you start like with villagers and you just slaughter villagers and like chickens and goats and stuff, and then, you know, you fight regular armies, and then you fight like the monarchy basically, right? Honestly, that theme sounds way cooler when I put it that way, like fighting the villagers and the humans. So that would I probably should do that. Good versus evil is more interesting visually. You get to change things up a bit, but also it's more work. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I should do that. Of course, I have to write new abilities and new cards and everything, and do the art and stuff, but that's fine. I already have a villager art, and like this mutton is part of the villager art that I was doing. Just depends on what you want to convey. I prefer the previous layout because it's easier to grasp and faster to use. But with the few layout changes, the vertical can work too. Yeah. Honestly, the main thing that I like more about this vertical layout is the health bar. That's really the only thing that I like better about this, or the main thing that I like better about this. The vertical health bar with the numbers on top of it, like so, looks really nice, I think. And then also having a horizontal list of the status effects like the poison is really nice. Now that said, I don't think there's any reason I can't do that on the alternate layout. It just would look weird because... Why would it look weird? It would look weird because the board width is a variable. I guess that's kind of the same problem here though. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Add the run manager here. I don't trust Godot. Okay, git stash. Ah, why did it do that? I only want to stash the stage changes. I don't know how to do that. How do I only stash staged changes in Git? Git stash push staged. Okay. So I think that's all that I need to do to revert to the old layout, but I'm keeping the health bar changes, I think. The problem is this health bar location is going to change now depending on how tall the board is. But I do like this health bar layout. I think this just is cleaner to read. I just don't think it works well with this kind of side-by-side layout. I don't know. What do we think? Being the evil guy sounds like fun. Yeah. This is going to be the first. I mean, I love like necromancer themed things. Like anytime there's a game, an RPG, all I play is like the necromancer. In Path of Exile, both 1 and 2, all of my characters are necromancers. So it's like, but I haven't made like a necromancer themed game yet, or like have that dark theme. And this isn't really a necromancer game because there's not like, I mean, your minions are just cards, right? But this is like my first foray into like going into that theme for a game. I guess that's not entirely true. I made some game jam games, but anyway. Hello, Dione. Good day to you as well. So you start by being a small-time evil guy just terrorizing some villagers. Yeah, that's the idea. So like you'll start with this really small grid and you'll fight easy enemies, which are just villagers. And as your grid grows, as your power grows, as you collect cards and upgrade them, you're going to fight knights and clergymen and scribes and you know, whatever, like oxes, or like you just think like village livestock or siege weaponry. Kind of give the impression, it's just a card game, right? But give the impression like you're slowly building up this like alchemy, necromancer, medieval science army that's continually like being opposed by stronger and stronger groups of humans, right? I think that would be really cool. I like the enemies on top. That way, thematically, you can see where you are going. As in, now I'm invading a village, now I'm invading a castle. With that art on top, it's more focus. Yeah, that's true, too. My coding is going to be interrupted by the new PoE 2 patch. Oh, yeah. A scribe is not particularly interesting as an enemy. Well, you have to keep in mind that cards can provide bonuses to other cards. So a scribe might be like doing war planning or something, or whatever, copying war plans thematically and like providing a damage bonus to everything around him, right? So it's not that like, oh, you're just fighting a scribe. It's like he is part of a larger board configuration. Intimidating. Oh, intimidating. Oh, yeah. I misread that. My apologies. Yeah. I agree. No, he's not that intimidating, but if he's part of a larger board configuration, it's still could be interesting. I need to think about this. I mean, so there are definitely strengths to the vertical layout, and there are strengths to the let's see. There are strengths to the vertical layout and there are strengths to the horizontal layout. I understand. Yeah, I could do like art here that kind of indicate what kind of thing you're fighting, like environment art, right? And I agree this is more of like a kind of gives the impression of moving forward. I like the horizontal layout. Problem is though, I don't like the lack of vertical space that I have here, especially as the board grows. The horizontal layout creates more space for the board to grow both vertically and horizontally, whereas this kind of limits the vertical space that it can grow. So that's one problem I have with the vertical layout. But the horizontal layout, like I feel like doing a horizontal bar on the horizontal layout doesn't look that great. Oops. Yeah, I don't know if that... The other option would just be to move these bars to like the top of the screen or something, but that would feel so disconnected. I like the horizontal health bar, so I think I'm pretty much committed to keeping the horizontal health bar. I think this looks much nicer. It looks more like a traditional health bar. And doing it vertically is just, there's kind of some problems with that. I like the ability to show the, what's the called? The status effects down here in a nice horizontal list. I think that's nicer to look at. But the problem is the alignment. If the enemy board is a different size than the player board, even if I tried to align these health bars, there would be weird gaps and padding and stuff. Whereas with the health bars being vertical, it was like they're just aligned on the same axes. The other thing I could do is I could experiment with a horizontal or a diagonal layout where I put the player down here in the corner and it grows outward and it grows upward and outward, and then the same for this, and that would make the health bars the same relative position. I could do horizontal health bars with that, and I could also include some like art, you know, going diagonally. Vertical layout is more common in auto battlers, but your boards are square, which is not super efficient use of space. Yeah. Most horizontal layouts grow horizontally like Bazaar. Yeah, that's exactly right. You mock up the art for both layouts in Acebrite and see what you like best. Yeah, I might have to do that. Photoshop, yeah. Backpack Battles has a horizontal layout and horizontal health bars. Yeah, but I think it's like, it really leans into like the horizontal, right? Like there's a lot of empty space, if I recall correct. Maybe I'm talking out of my rear end here. I thought it was like a narrow like corridor though, right? Or no, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, am I thinking of something else? What is the other one? What's the inventory management game with the rat character? Backpack Hero. I think Backpack Hero is what I was thinking of. Okay, yeah, so this... Stop. Trailer, stop. Oh, this is a shop. Where's the actual combat? Okay, that's interesting. This is a Godot game? It's a Godot game, right? I think this developer uses Godot. Anyway, Backpack Hero. This is the one that I was thinking of. So this is like very horizontal here. Yeah, so this is interesting because it has like the visuals down below and then the backpack inventory is all above. But this is different because it's like... Yeah, I'm not like... There's no like characters, it's just the boards against each other. Interesting. Interesting. Keep bouncing off Godot because I keep getting null instance errors with my nodes. It's a pain. And scenes. Interesting. Enemies have no backpack. Yeah, that's true. So I guess that's a main difference between Backpack Hero and Backpack Battles. It looks like Backpack Battles is more akin to what I'm doing here. Or I guess what I'm doing is more akin to Backpack Battles, where you're fighting two inventories against each other. Now they still have characters here, which I'm not going to have. It's just going to be the grid. Oh, I can see that these ones are not perfectly rectangular either. Interesting. The other thing is that this is a higher resolution game. There's just a lot more space. That's the other thing about it too. I like the environment art though. Online PvP. Oh, is it? Is this a PvP game? You play against real builds of other players. Oh, very cool. I didn't realize that. How does that work? How do you, I mean, I know how it works in theory. I mean, like, this is always the question I have is like, how does this game even get seeded? Like, how do you get the snowball rolling? I guess you would start with a bunch of like NPC builds and hope enough players play it to populate the game with the remaining builds. Also, I always wondered how you handled cheaters in this game, because unless it's an always online game and you're doing server-side validation all the time. But it seems like if you're not doing that, then players could just like hack their items. I wonder if it is always online. That would be the only way to do it, really. Anyway. I saw you wanted to say something, just say it. Oh, I don't have a solution for you. I think I need to know more about what you're trying to do with your code. I mean, the solution is null. So there, I can give you a couple of pointers maybe on null instance errors. One, I mean, I don't know where your null instance is coming from. Like, are you fetching nodes at the correct path? That would be the first question. The other question is, are you trying to fetch nodes that are outside of the current scene with node paths? Because, you know, you can't, basically you should follow the rule that you don't know what the scene tree structure looks like outside of the current scene that you're in. So whatever script is attached to whatever scene, you should only really be guaranteed that that scene structure is guaranteed to be the way that it is. Anything outside of the scene, you should be agnostic as to the scene structure. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Do not, as often as you possibly can avoid it, do not store references to nodes. And what I mean by that is, like, don't store long-lived references to other nodes that are transient or could ever be deleted. Because the problem is that they'll get deleted at some point, and now you have to manually clean up the references everywhere, because the references don't become null when you when a node gets freed. So if you have a reference to a node and that node later gets freed, the reference doesn't become null. So a null check is not going to do anything for you. You actually have to clear that reference or use isInstanceValid. There's an isInstanceValid method that will check if a variable is null, or if the object the variable is referencing is no longer valid, if it's been freed from memory. The only case where you'd want to store long-lived node references is, again, in a scene where you know that the nodes that you're storing references to aren't going to change. So this is where you would use like your onReady variables in GDScript, or onReady, directives, I guess they're called, to get your node references from the scene. What else? It's async like the bazaar. I think it's server authoritative. Okay. Yeah, it would have to be server authoritative, I think. Loading a UI into the game. So here's the thing. If you don't know what the scene structure is going to be, then you need to use signals for your communication. If you don't know what the structure is, then what you should do is just use a broadcast method. Just say, well, I know what this chunk of UI does, and when this button gets pressed, I'm just going to broadcast that and say, this button was pressed. And ultimately, someone is going to have to know about the scene structure. Like, typically, you'll have like some kind of node that instantiates the UI, and then connects to the relevant signals, and then it will respond to the UI. That's another recommendation I would make, is that you shouldn't have any game logic in your UI. Your UI should just be for displaying your data, and for handling user input. But any gameplay changes or game mechanics or game state that needs to change as a result of UI should happen outside of a UI node in response to a UI signal. I think that's a good way to approach it as well. But again, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know, is your game entirely UI? Are like you creating an auto clicker, or are you creating like one of these spreadsheet games? You know, I don't know how to help you other than those tips. Godot debugger to find what script line is causing the null reference. Yeah. So anyway, I hope those tips are helpful. But yeah, without more context, I don't know if I can be super helpful. Three health. Oh, I'm gonna die. Am I gonna die here? No, no, I might die. Yeah, I'm gonna die. So anyway, yeah, I might have to do what you all suggested, which is to mock up the UI a little bit in Asprite. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, the error in the debug console will tell you, I think, in GDScript, it will tell you exactly where the line is problematic. Or yeah, which line is problematic. That help, got some note of it. Good, okay. Yeah, I'm happy to help. Yeah, I think I need to do a bunch of what's the word? Mocking up. I think, I mean, let's see if we can make a decision on at least one thing here. Do you guys agree that the horizontal health bar looks better than the vertical one? Like, are we in agreement about that, at least? Here, I'll revert to it real quick. Let me just make sure that I did this correctly. So here's the vertical health bar and the vertical layout. You can ignore these numbers for now. Vertical health bar, vertical layout, or horizontal layout, vertical health bar. We'll leave this up on the screen for a second so you guys can absorb it. Okay, and then let's just only consider the horizontal health bar right now. So then here's the horizontal health bar. What do we think? Do we like the horizontal bar better? Don't forget you can use LLMs for assistance. I appreciate they can hallucinate, but they're very useful in some instances. Yeah, they don't hallucinate too badly in programming scenarios either, which is nice. I do like the vertical HP bar, but horizontal is incredibly common to see in other apps and games. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'll finally use signals and separate the logic from the UI, like you said. Yeah, I think that's a good step. The health bar adjustment is much nicer here. Yeah, you like the horizontal health bar here? I mean, health bars need to be symmetrical, so if that's a problem with horizontal, I would like it less. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess that's the main problem I have with the horizontal layout, is that because the boards have variable size, the health bars are potentially going to be positioned in different places. Shoot, why is this so hard, man? Game dev is so, like, one of the reasons, I mean, I like doing game dev, even just as a hobby when I was doing it mostly as a hobby, is like, there's just so many skills to wrap your head around. You got to do art, and then you got to do UI design, and then you got to do marketing, and then there's a whole art to making the game actually fun. And of course, you got to architect the code correctly, and then sound effects is a whole different thing. Figuring out how to mix and match sound effects to make it chunky and good. It's like, it's just, there's so many skills into like just one thing. And there's always a weakness. There's always a weakest point in your game dev skills where you're like, man, I wish I was better at this. UI design is definitely my weak point here. Used to be art was my weak point, but now that my art is stronger, UI is my weak point. We really need to see mockups when the grid is more popular to get a better understanding of the skill. Yeah, I think that's what I got to do. I think that's what I have to do this afternoon, is just do a bunch of mockups and see. People underestimate how difficult UI is to get right. Yeah, I mean, even when you're like, when I was a software engineer and I was doing front-end development and we had like a design library and everything, if I didn't have designs from a designer, I was like, I don't know what the correct way to lay this page out is. Like, I'll take a stab at it, but like, I'm not going to make the right decision here. Like, where does this information go? And like, what kind of button should be here? Should it be a secondary button? Should it be a primary button? You know, what kind of header should I use? It's just, there's a lot, like, I think UI design is a very underappreciated skill. UI UX, because it's actually really hard to make an intuitive design that looks good and functions well, just in a UI sense. It's really hard. Personally, don't see much difference between horizontal and vertical. I think it just depends on the rights are going to be left or right or top to bottom. Yeah. Is there ever a point where you would be fighting multiple enemy boards at the same time? I thought about that. I'm going to say no for now. Maybe I could add that in the future, but yeah, I guess I get your point, is like the layout would kind of determine that. I think if I were to fight multiple enemy boards at a time, I would just do like a back-to-back combat where it's like you fight the first board and then the second board comes in and you don't heal up or anything. It just continues where the other one left off. But because I don't know how fighting two boards at the same time would work. Like, would you damage both boards equally? Or would you damage one at a time alternating? Like, there's a couple of questions there. So I thought that might be interesting, but I think no is the answer. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, that's a good point, Adam. That's a good point. Well, I should probably go eat some lunch then and think about this some more. But thank you all for your help, and thank you all for brainstorming with me. I very much appreciate that. We'll figure it out. You know, it's just one of those things where just iteration over time is going to bring it gradually closer to good. So just got to put in the effort, I guess. That's all. But anyway, thanks again, everyone, for watching. Thank you all for being here. Have a great weekend. I'm not going to be streaming again this weekend, probably, because I have stuff to do. But thanks again, everyone. And check out the links in the description below. Again, Gunforged is available for sale. I also have my Udemy courses that are available for purchase if you're interested in learning how to build a complete game in the Godot engine. And thank you to all the VOD watchers and lurkers out there. I know you're watching this as well. You are very much appreciated as well. And again, have a great weekend, everyone. I will see you Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, bye-bye.